How you doing, gentlemen, barbarians and savages? This is the Rooster here, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Gynocentrism. Gynocentrism it's a big word, but it's basically means that how our society has developed from an exclusively female point of view. Basically the opposite of what the feminists call the patriarchy. And it's basically a culture that has permeated our society, that creates women as entitled princesses or victims. So that's kind of the basic idea of gynocentrism. If you want to think about it from a metaphor, you can think about the Titanic. And when they were getting ready to put people on the lifeboats in the Titanic, there's a policeman there, security guard or whatever. That's, it's the famous line: women and children first. Women and children first. Women and children first. And that person who is that gatekeeper is the key to gynocentrism. Without that gatekeeper person that's letting women onto the lifeboats and children onto the lifeboats and stopping men from going onto the lifeboats, gynocentrism can't exist. So that's something to keep in mind. But gynocentrism is based on women using weakness to get ahead, and it's actually their strength. They use weakness. Oh, I'm a poor little girl, I can't do this. And what they do is they manipulate men to do it for them. White knighting it's called, or whatever. But the fundamental basis of gynocentrism is based on the disposability of men. And if women need men, gynocentrism is low and patriarchy is high in a society. If women don't need men, for these categories that I'm going to talk about throughout this, then gynocentrism is high in society. And I'm going to explain how we've gone from a patriarchal, low gynocentrism society to a high gynocentrism society due to third wave feminism that came in the 1960s. So let's talk about that right away. The first wave feminism started with Gloria Steinem in the 60s, 1965, and her famous quote basically says exactly what it is. A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. That's Gloria Steinem's famous quote, and it's true. When women don't need men, that's when feminism can start. And then you had second wave feminism, which was all about getting into the workforce, getting into the colleges, getting an equal share, and all of that's fine. First and second wave feminism is great. But third wave feminism now is a real ball buster, and it's turned around from seeking equal rights to seeking female rights over and above men's rights, and they're not looking for equality or egalitarianism anymore. They're looking to bust men's balls and crush them and use them to extract resources from, because when gynocentrism gets high, men become disposable. Okay, so let me talk about the three categories. And they're all under security, but these are the three categories of gynocentrism, and where you can see gynocentrism in our society. First, there's physical security. Second, there's financial security. And third, there's social security or emotional security. Okay? Now, and you can see gynocentrism in any of those three categories, but I'll talk about them. Physical security is what I call danger on the streets. If you go to places in other parts of the world where a woman can't walk down the street without being chance of a grocery store blowing up or a roadside bomb or something like that, gynocentrism is very, very low. When you need male security, physical security, to keep women safe, there's no hope for gynocentrism, because women need men, and when women need men, they can't be gynocentric to them. They can't treat them with disrespect. They can't blow them off. They have to have them around to protect them. Now, what we have in our culture here is kind of becoming the opposite of that, and we're getting what's called the rape culture, especially on college campuses. This whole idea that every man is a rapist, and every man should be suspect and is guilty until proven innocent. You know that if you're a 20-year-old kid and you're going to college right now, full ride scholarship, and a woman, classmate, even accuses you of sexual misconduct, you are removed from your classes, you are taken out of school, you don't have any choice in the matter, there's no due process, there's no arrest, and you don't come back until they have determined what happened or if anything happened or not. And sometimes, if they can't determine it, they don't allow you to come back anyway. This is a fact. This is going on right now in our colleges, this rape culture that's going on. But what is happening is women have found a key little trick of using men to police other men. That's that gatekeeper that I was telling you about. The gatekeeper on the Titanic who's stopping the men from going on the lifeboats and just letting the women on. Using men to police other men is a gynocentric strategy that women use all the time. And if they can't gain control over a man by manipulating him, they will manipulate other men to physically control him. Now, you can see this all the time at the bar. You know, a girl will go and try to make her husband jealous, go and talk to another guy, and then that guy gets jealous, and then what ends up happening is the two guys end up fighting. Okay, you see, the woman starts the drama, and the two guys end up fighting each other over her. That's gynocentrism at its best. And then there's white knighting. Okay, the two classic manipulations that women use for this physical security aspect is one, oh, he's hurting me, stop hitting me, he's attacking me physically, you know, he's doing this or that, and then the white knights come in, and you know, the brother-in-laws and the fathers and or the guy sitting at the end of the bar comes in and punches you in the face. How dare you talk to her like that? You know, well, she's my wife. I've been married to her for 25 years. I can probably talk to her any way I want to at this point. No, you can't, because I'm a white knight, and I'm going to save her. Captain Save-A-Ho, right? So that's men policing other men, and it's wrong. There's no, you never see women doing that. You never see women policing other women. Now, how dare you talk about him like that? No, they just laugh and go, "Yeah, that's how he is." But so that's one of the things that you need to look at. If you're a 20-year-old kid, it's a minefield out there. You know, you got to be aware of all of this stuff. And that's the first way, is the physical abuse, and the second way is the waterworks. They start crying, and I've experienced this. Just, oh, God, it's so bad. And then everybody feels sorry for them, and they're victimized. They become victimized. And they may even be the ones that started the drama or caused the drama or created the situation that they're in. But once the waterworks turn on, other men come around, and there's something that's innate. It's just like female nature. Men have a male nature that's intrinsic. It's wired into them. They can't help it. They have to white knight. Okay? But all of this gynocentric behavior, keep in mind, it can only happen if you allow a woman to manipulate you into policing other men. So that's the point that you want to look into. Am I policing another man for this woman, or am I doing this because it's the right thing to do? And chances are you're policing someone. They need that police officer there to make sure that they get on the raft. If that guy's not there, that raft's going to fill up with men. Right? So the second area is financial security. And what did feminism do in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s? Well, feminism, birth control, and abortion, all three of those things created a perfect storm in the early 70s all the way through the 80s, to where there was no responsibility anymore required. Women could get pregnant and get an abortion, or they could have sex as much as they wanted with as many men as they wanted. They didn't need one man around. They could have a beta male provider, and then they could go out on Saturday night and have sex with an alpha male if they wanted to. And if they got caught, they just moved to another beta male, took their kids along. And when I say the government steps in, the marriage rate plummeted, and it's still going down and down and down and down, because what women have realized is they can get that financial security that they used to have from a man. Guess where they get it from now? They get it from the government. The government is the policeman that says, oh, you had a kid with her, even though you're divorced, maybe you weren't ever even married, but guess what? I'm the policeman, and I'm the government, and I say you got to pay child support and you got to pay alimony. So that's how they get their financial security, through gynocentrism. Women and children first. Got to have that child support. Women and children first. So now they have physical security by making men fight other men. They have their financial security by having the government force men to open their wallets and give them money and alimony and child support. And they have birth control and abortion, that they can use anytime that they want for free. And they can use the court system. And there's nothing stronger than the court system. I don't care. I mean, the physical security part, maybe if you're the biggest guy in the bar, you can fight off all of those guys. But I don't care how tough you are, you can't fight the judge. The judge is going to make you open your wallet, or he's going to put you in jail. So that's how you see that. Now, the other side of gynocentrism is you can see it. You see it anywhere. I mean, you can see the instant victimization. Oh, you be in court. I saw this court case today on Judge Judy, and the lady comes in, and a guy that she was with, they got a dog together, no kids or anything like that, but the guy broke up with her for whatever reason. They had been broke up for a while, and she ended up being homeless, of course, because she didn't have a job and she couldn't take care of herself, and he kicked her out, right? She had the dog, and the dog got sick, and she couldn't take care of the dog anymore, so she goes over and asks the guy, because she needs him at this point, so she respects him and everything like that, please take the dog. So he takes the dog, and he spends $3,000 fixing the dog up and fixing the broken leg, and it has kidney problems and has to give it pills. She doesn't come back around for like 2 years. So he's got the dog. The dog's had puppies. He's off married to another woman, living in a house on the other side of town. He's got a nice life going. Had the dog for 2 years. The kids are all playing with the dog and everything like that. This woman comes back and wants the dog back. And he says no. So she takes him to court. And, of course, what does she get into? She gets into court and she uses her 2 tactics. She uses her victimization. Oh, my God, he took the dog away from me. And, well, why didn't you go over and pick up the dog? Oh, he forced himself on me, and he prevented me, and he tried to choke me, and he pulled my hair. And, well, do you have a police report for that, ma'am? No, I didn't bother getting one. Well, then that didn't work. So then she went to the second one, which is waterworks. I just want my dog back. It's my dog, and I love it. And I want my dog back so bad. Judge Judy's a female. She saw right through it. She's like, whatever. I know this game. He pulls out the bills, all the medical bills that he paid for the dog, and there's no doubt about it. He got to keep the dog, and she was out the door. But that's gynocentrism at its best right there. And after I describe this stuff to you, you're going to start seeing this stuff on TV. You'll see it at work. You'll see how women act in this culture because they're allowed to act that way because they don't need men anymore. Men are disposable up to and until the point where they do need them for something. And when they do need them for something, then you'll see something completely different come out of them. You see a lot of respect and kindness and sweetness and kisses on the cheek and aren't you the best until they get what they want out of you, and then they're done. Okay. Now the other thing that the government, the other part of gynocentrism that the government plays a role into is downplaying any kind of male issues. There are huge men's issues out there. Suicide, homelessness, workplace death, and incarceration are the 4 biggest. 70% of suicides are men. And why? Usually over a woman. 75% of homelessness is men. 20% of those are veterans. Workplace death. Without a fact, the most hazardous, dirtiest, and dangerous jobs that are done in our society are done by men. And men die at work at a rate of 10 times the rate that women die in the workplace. But you don't hear about it because men are disposable in our gynocentric society. And here's a number for you. Incarcerations. You're not going to believe this when I say this, but I want you to hear this perfectly. 95% of incarcerated people are men. 95%. 95% of people that are in jail are men. You think that's a problem? You think that might be a problem? I think that might be a man's problem. But do you ever hear about that on the news? No. You don't hear about it because gynocentrism pushes away men's issues for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. What's more important? Breast cancer awareness. Got to save the kids, right? So the third section is emotional or social control. Social control. Maintaining their Social Security. Not Social Security like the check you get when you're old. Social control. Now, where do you see this? The whole wedding industry. The whole wedding industry is social control. Man gets down on his knee. Man pays for it. Man has to buy the ring. Man has to beg the woman. You can't congratulate the woman. You only congratulate the guy because, he's doing something that's really good for him. Wrong. It's probably the worst mistake of his entire life. 60 years ago, getting married was a good thing. Nowadays, no. You're basically signing yourself up for the yoke and to become a slave, a wage slave for that woman and her brood of children. As I said before, all three of these categories, the key component is the policing component. In the first part, men were policing other men for her. In the second component, financial security, the government and the court system is policing men for her. And in the third category, the social control, this is where women actually police for themselves. Now, where do you see this? Sexual harassment. You go to work. How many people have been written up for sexual harassment? I'm a man. I'm almost 50 years old. I've been written up 3 times for sexual harassment. Never did any of it. The first time I did it, I was an 18-year-old kid at a camp, kids camp, as a counselor, and the bus was pulling out of the driveway and the kids were leaving off on a little group trip, and I went like this, and I blew a kiss to the bus, just a goodbye kiss. Okay, well, one of the women that was on that bus thought that I blew a kiss to her. I never touched her. I never groped her. I never asked her out. I never gave my male gaze and looked at her in any creepy way or anything like that. I just blew a kiss to the bus as I was waving away. The next morning, I got called into the office and got written up for sexual harassment. And when I described what happened, the guy that was running the camp said, "You can't do that." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" She was on the bus. The bus was pulling out of the driveway 40 feet from me, and how did I sexually harass her? Well, you can't do that. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, and that was that was 1984. Okay, that's almost 32 years ago. I can't even imagine what it's like in an office nowadays working with women. I just can't believe it. Okay? Women have something in this social control area called same group preference. They do something that men don't do. Women have what's called the sisterhood. They look out for each other, and they support each other, and they conglomerate like a group of hens in the chicken coop. They each help each other sit on each other's eggs and stuff like that. Same group preference. Women prefer working with other women. Men, on the other hand, are in competition with each other. They're roosters, so they only want one rooster in the coop. That's the way men are. This same group preference really helps women with controlling men, because they can be around and they can go into male-dominated spaces. They can go into the man cave. They can go into the football dome, and if they see, men talking about things that are not politically correct, or against women in any way, or telling female jokes or something like that, women can police that by using social control on the men that they're either married to, that are their fathers, that are their brothers or uncles or whatever. I'm assuming that there's a lot of guys watching this, and I hope there's a lot of guys watching this. You know how it is when you sit around with guys, and you can tell jokes, and you can talk about women and stuff like that, but as soon as a woman walks into a man's safe space, mixed company, can't say, you can't say that stuff anymore because now there's a woman present. So they police men in male safe spaces like man caves and sports bars and stuff like that by their mere presence. Their mere presence in a male safe space creates a policing action that prevents men from talking real. real talk. It all of a sudden has to become politically correct. So this is something that you should look at. And how is this social control perpetuated? And I'm going to tell you how it's perpetuated, through the school system. Sometime in the mid-70s, the school system switched from boys and girls being treated like boys and girls in school, where you had recess and you had fun and you had smear the queer, and boys could be rambunctious and play kickball and run around, and girls could braid each other's hair and draw pictures and pick flowers and do whatever girls do. But it wasn't bad to be a boy in school. And you came in from recess and you were all sweaty, and then the next class you had was math, and you sit there and you'd yak it up or whatever with your buddy and all that stuff. It's not that way anymore. If you go into the school systems now, they started with this ADD and ADHD stuff, and most of those diagnoses are boys. And they start giving these pills to boys to make them not as rambunctious, and to basically to teach those boys, institutionalize little 6-year-old boys and 7-year-old boys to act like girls. Be calm, be quiet, sit on your hands, put your head down, don't run around and fight and wrestle during recess. That's not good behavior. That's bad behavior. If you do that behavior, you're defective. You're a bad boy. You need to act like a girl. You need to be feminized. And now you say, well, that can't be. That is the way it is. And 90% of K through 12 teachers, well, K through 9 teachers, the little kids, their peak years where they're learning their sexual roles and they're learning how men act and how women act, their teachers are women. Okay? You think about how many teachers that you had until you got into high school. You had maybe one male teacher. So these women are indoctrinating our little boys to act like women and to be feminized. And then when they get out into society, they've been completely pussified. And they've been trained that the world is gynocentric, and your job is to sacrifice yourself for women, and that women are going to manipulate you and run the whole show, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So, that's the 3 categories, okay? Physical security, financial security, and social control, right? One is men. They create a situation where men will fight other men to protect them. The other one is where they use the government and the court system to protect them financially. And the other one is they're socializing male spaces to be politically correct, and they're socializing little boys from the get-go to be feminized when they grow up. So they won't have to police them so much once they get grown up. They'll be politically correct. They'll be quiet, and they'll sit on their hands and do as they're told. Right? Now, I like to talk about solutions and proofs. How are you going to change gynocentrism? You're really not going to change gynocentrism as a culture until women need men much more in our society, and that's going to be like after wartime or something like that. But here's the proofs that gynocentrism exists, and you can see this by seeing the opposite of the proof in small sections of our society. You can take TV shows like Survivor, where men and women are stranded on an island by themselves, and women need men to survive, basically. And you can see the gynocentrism fades away. It's gone. It's kissy, lovey, kissy. oh God, you're so strong, I love you, whatever. And the other show that I watch where you can see the proof of this is Big Brother. And they even have a name for what happens on Big Brother. It's called a showmance. And you'll see pair bonding. They go into this house, 13, 14, 15 guys and women mixed together. And any kind of a show where you're getting voted off, every week somebody's getting voted off, that's women's security. They need security. They look for security. The first thing that women do is they pair bond up with an alpha male or a male that they can have on the show that can be their showmance. And then you see them twisting the wool, trying to manipulate that guy. Oh, don't vote her off. Don't vote me off. Vote this one off over here. Vote this. And you can just see the women are constantly twisting the wool, manipulating these guys, and they get with them and they hug on them and kiss on them and rub on them and all this stuff. And I'm like, these people hardly even know each other. But that's what happens. The gynocentrism goes away, and women start acting submissive to men because they have to. They need the men for the votes. Okay, and then from a cultural standpoint, and this is a good one to look at, just look at the Amish. The Amish are a complete culture within themselves where there is absolutely no gynocentrism. The divorce rate in the Amish community is 1%. Why? Why is there no gynocentrism in the Amish? It's very easy. There's no safety net. Amish people do not have a Social Security number. They do not collect Social Security when they get old. They're not allowed to. There's no disability. There's no welfare system for the Amish. The Amish don't have a Social Security number. So women need a man to go and work the farm to make money to keep the heat on in the house. And when women need men, gynocentrism goes through the floor. When women don't need men, it goes through the ceiling, and women do whatever they freaking want to do. But they don't come around men. They don't need men. They don't use men. They don't need them. They don't use them. Okay? So this is getting a little long, but that's gynocentrism, and that's about all I have on that. It's very important that you understand this in our culture as a man, so that you know how to deal with women, and you know this is the way that they think, and this is the way our society thinks. And a lot of gynocentrism isn't just a woman's thing. Gynocentrism is a man's thing too. If you're a white knighter and you're out there and you're Captain Save-A-Ho and you're going to save every woman in the world, you're part of gynocentrism. Don't do it. Make women stand up for themselves. Make women pay their own rent. Make women buy their own cars. Make women pay for their own college, Don't get married to women that aren't going to go in half and half with you. Don't get married to women at all. Hold them accountable. So that's pretty much all I have. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts, if you have any other comments that you want to make, feel free to do it down in the comments section. I love to hear dissent. And as always, take it easy.